Hello, everybody. Today's review is going to be of a French horror show that's actually on Netflix. Again, it was another one that was on my long list of things to watch, but I'm just getting around to it now. Now, apparently, from looking, there was supposed to be a second season, and it does kind of leave on quite a cliffhanger at the end, so I can understand why they were going to continue the show. But I did enjoy it. It maybe wasn't my favorite because some of it kind of felt like a rinse and repeat by the end of the season, which was unfortunate because the special effects and the psychological horror aspect of it was fantastic as far as that goes. So I did give the show a 7 or 10 because I think it deserves at least that. But yeah, just a lot of it seemed like it was a little bit, again, rinse and repeat, like I said, by the end, just because I feel like if you had been haunted for that long, that you would have realized, you would have kind of taken it upon yourself to do things a little bit differently in your life and maybe not have done exactly what this entity or demon or whatever it was trying to tell you to do, right? Like you would have eventually you would have just been like, okay, if I stop listening to it, stop interacting with it, it will go away and it'll stop hurting the people I love and me as well, included in that. So, yeah, again, I feel like there was a lot of things that could have been avoided in this show, but unfortunately, I guess curiosity kind of got the best of the characters, I would say, and they decided to, I guess, in a sense, kind of reenact what they were doing as kids, but also in the same breath trying to kill the entity that was after them as well. So it was a very interesting take, but yeah, not something you should be messing with when you don't know exactly what it is that you could possibly be dealing with. Anyway, so before we get into the story, we'll go over the cast list because it is quite for such a short show. For such a short show, it was quite a big cast. So we had Victoria Dubois, who played Emma Larsamon, I want to say is how you pronounce that. So again, forgive me if I butcher some of these names. Lucy Bougenat, who played Camille. Tiffaine DeVoe, who played Aurore. Ralph Amasu, who played Sebi. Bellamine Abdelmia, who played Arnaud Adult. Again, some of these names, forgive me. Mehdi Mesker, who played Tonio. Elbin Lenore, who played, oh wow, Inspector Lenore. So I guess that one's a little bit easier, hey? Meryl Herbsmeyer, who played Madame Dagaran. Corinne Vaticon, or Vaticon maybe, who played Madame Larsamon. Patrick de Asmaco, I want to say, played Pierre Xavier. Aurore Brotine, who played Caroline Dagaran, who was, yeah, I guess, obviously the daughter, right? Pierre Assadat, who played Monsieur Larisman. Clara Brotman, so there was actually two people who played Marianne, or Marine, I guess would be how you pronounce that with the French accent. I believe that's how they pronounced it anyway through most of the show. And then, yeah, so we had her, and then Delia Espinat Diet, who also played Marianne June. Now, I don't really know what the difference was between the two of them, whether, like, one of them was maybe voicing it, and the other one was playing the actual part. I think that could be. And then we had Roman Libert as Lucy. Oh yeah, she was the one girl's younger sister, right? I remember correctly now. So we'll just flip over to go about the story. So we're basically following this character, Emma. Now we do get a little bit of a backstory to her. once the show kind of, takes off a little bit, which was nice. But originally, we're just getting her kind of like reading this book that she's made. And she seems to be writing this like series of horror books, but she says she's done with it now. Like she wants to write something a little bit more serious or different, I suppose. And I guess that makes sense because, certain things can get obviously stale to you if you've been doing it for too long of a period of time, right? So, yeah, she has created this character, Lizzie Larrick, to fight Marine. Um, and obviously things seem to be working out, right? But I guess back in her hometown, things are starting to happen again, and I guess this Marine character is actually real, like something she's writing about that has happened to her in the past, like in her life. So this girl Caroline comes along and starts to believe that the Marine character from the fictional horror novel written by Emma has somehow taken her over. Now, obviously, throughout the show, we learn that Marine is not fake. She is quite real, and I guess has been haunting these kids since they were teenagers. And it just seems to be like everywhere Emma is, something bad is always happening to somebody she loves or cares about, or her friends, so on and so forth, right? So she's been having these returning nightmares now that this book has come out. So it seems this marine entity is kind of like after her. So I don't believe like the character Marine herself was a demon, but she was connected to a demon. We do find that out. So Emma goes back to Eldon because she feels like she has to, right, to make things right, I guess, or at least kind of investigate the whole Caroline thing after Caroline does take her own life. Um, I guess kind of trying to prove the point that everything Marine says eventually comes to light, right? And when they were teenagers, when Marine took over Emma's body, she actually like spouted out basically everything she was going to do to these guys, like Emma's friends as adults. So I guess everything's just kind of coming to fruition, technically, right? Like everything's coming to a head and actually happening, which is unfortunate because now Emma's kind of being sucked back into her old life, which is probably not what she wanted to have happening to her, but yeah, I guess unfortunate circumstances. Her life is catching up with her again, right? So once she gets to her parents' house is when probably the weirder stuff starts happening for sure. Um, Now her parents get, I guess you could say, possessed, and they walk into the forest. Um, and I guess she believes somehow that Caroline's mother has drugged them, due to the fact that obviously she is now fully in the belief that Marine is in Caroline's mother's body. Now, Caroline's mother, obviously, um, you know, um, has some serious stuff wrong with her. We can tell that, and she's keeping something hidden inside her house. And um, then we find Emma's mother comes back, so Maureen, who has taken over Caroline's mother, as I guess slowly letting, like, it's almost like she's like messing with Emma in a sense to make her feel like she could be closer to Maureen in a way. It was very weird because that's almost like it was like Maureen wanted to be her friend throughout the entire thing, and but also at the same time wanted to hurt her also. So it was a very weird relationship between her and this Marine character. Um, so, and boy, does when Emma's mother comes back, she like lays it all out on the table, basically telling her that she doesn't love her anymore the same way that like unconditional love. She doesn't love her that way anymore. Um, and Emma has this true talent for breaking things, I guess. So it was kind of an interesting thing to have happen. Just your mother all of a sudden come back and just be like, here's this big pile of information that I'm just going to lay on you now, in the middle of everything else that's already is happening to you. Also, I don't love you anymore, which would be a hard thing to hear, no matter how old you were, right? That your mom does not love you. So, whether she was, whether it was actually really her saying that, or she was still somewhat kind of under the control of Marine, it's hard to say. But yeah, because sometimes it was hard to tell, like what was fiction and what was reality, because a lot of the times we'd be like in a dream with Emma, but we wouldn't realize it until it was like already a little bit too late, and then she'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm dreaming." Like I have to be in control, right? Like I can get out of this sort of thing, which was interesting, for sure. Like it was almost like she was forcing herself to lucid dream so she could have control inside of her dreams, which kind of gave me like Nightmare on Elm Street vibes, and some of the soundtrack in this definitely gave me some like Freddy vibes for sure. It was pretty interesting to uh, see that kind of take on this character, almost like she could hurt you in your dreams but also hurt you in real life. um, but I think she almost had more power outside of the dream realm than anything. Like the dreams were kind of just to keep you guessing, right, and like mess with your head more than she could probably, outside of the dreams. It's very weird. um or I guess Marine was trying to like would be pointing you in like a certain direction, right? And the dreams were just a way for her to keep you guessing as to what her next move was, or try to keep you in that dreamland while she was hurting somebody else. Um, could also be like a plan for her too, right? So then we find, so throughout the show, Emma had the inspector helping her, right? And the inspector is the one that actually finds her dad, and this was happening all at the same time as Emma was trying to exorcise Marine from Caroline's mother. So a lot was happening during that point in the show, and the inspector was trying to find out exactly what Marine was connected to, sort of thing. And then Marine kills Emma's mother, obviously, for disobeying the order she had already given to Emma. Um, and then I guess Emma hurts Caroline's mother enough to get Marine free from her body. And then I believe at one point Marine even possesses Camille, right, in the hospital. And Marine took Madame uh, Doggeran's vision just as punishment for, not being able to, I guess, to use her body as a vessel anymore. So I guess Marine always takes something from everybody, right? Like she never leaves empty-handed was kind of the thing that I got most from the show. Um, so then the inspector finds what Marine was hiding in Madame Dungaren's home, which was completely gross. So there's basically this guy with like the flesh ripped off. So she was making all these little like ornaments out of skin. I can't remember exactly what they were called, but she would hang them up everywhere she went, sort of thing, as like a sign that she had been there or that this place was cursed, I guess. Um, so very, very interesting. Uh, definitely definitely the poor guy, whoever was she was using as like a puppet, essentially, was, didn't deserve that, obviously. But maybe he was kind of like a believer in what was going on. I'm not really sure, because it seemed like he wanted to be there, but yeah, maybe didn't know what he was getting himself into. So it almost seemed like Marine was trying to start like a cult, essentially, um, which was really strange for a like an entity or ghost or whatever you want to call her to do. Um, so he found a whole bunch of symbols in this room, obviously, with a whole bunch of the little uh, ornaments that Marine was making, right? And when he found this book, he eventually, he begins to read it, obviously, and finds out that Marine is connected to this demon, Beleth. And then I guess they were married at one point, and then Marine starts to come after I guess she's starting to kind of follow through with what she had said all those years ago when they were teenagers about coming after Sebi's kid, and uh, who else was it that she came after? I think there was more than one character that she came after at a time, right? But it was all like what she had said in the past of what she was going to do, and now she has the power to actually do it because they've essentially re-released her, right? Like she kills the inspector. Um, who else does she kill? I think she kills one of the character's brothers or best friend. I can't remember whether it was it his brother or his best friend. I can't quite remember. It was one of those two. But yeah, she does that as well. And then the priest tells Emma to leave town, obviously, after Marine has attached to her. Um, and this was the flashback, I guess, because she was just a teenager at the time. And then, yeah, and then, of course, like I've said, everything Emma has written about Marine has come to be now, right? Marine's following through with all of the stuff, and it seems that no matter what Marine write, or no matter what Emma writes about Marine, it's always going to happen. Like the kids running away and trying to hang themselves off the swing set, um, and it just seemed like a whole bunch of stuff that even Emma had just written randomly to kind of keep Marine happy that Emma was writing continuously, right? Eventually just brought Marine even more to life, like the whole song about Marine being alive on a Tuesday, or being brought to life on a Tuesday, uh, something about Wednesday, and then yeah, it was just a whole song, right? But the main thing was that she was brought to life on a Tuesday, sort of thing. So very interesting. So Emma did leave town, basically kind of created her own downfall. And of course, I think the biggest thing was obviously her um, with Lucy playing hide and seek, and Lucy gets stuck in the freezer at the lighthouse, and then Emma can't find her in time, so Lucy unfortunately dies. Um, and Aurora, of course, finds out when they go back to the lighthouse to do like their second seance as adults that Emma was there, right? And it's kind of an unforgivable thing. And then, of course, we have the scene between her and Sebi where they hook up, and she thinks it actually happened. Now, she confronts Sebi about it at the very last episode, and he says, I would never do that to my wife, sort of thing, the wife that he has now, and obviously his daughter. So she goes, well, then, if it wasn't you, then who was it? And so I think it was the actual demon Beleth, because when she's leaving with Camille to go back to the city, she keeps having sickness, and Camille goes, you need to check to see if you're pregnant. And she goes, well, there's no way I'm pregnant. I haven't even done anything with anybody here, right? That would, give her that inclination, right? Except for what she thinks maybe she's done with Sebi, but she's not obviously going to admit that or tell anybody, right? So she has this weird flash of like this demon-like creature, and I was like, oh my god, Beleth has gotten her pregnant, and she's going to give birth to a demon baby, which is not great. So I guess from what I can tell, I have a few more notes here. Um, is that this all started in February 17th of 1617, when I guess they originally tried to bury Marine, and I believe they were burning the pages of the book, from the looks of things anyway, but the page didn't completely burn, so I guess that was enough to keep Marine alive, which was kind of interesting. Or maybe, I'm not exactly sure whether, yeah, or maybe somebody else was able to rewrite the book from that. They never really touched on that, I don't think. So it's kind of interesting that the inspector was able to find this book, right? So then, in the very start of the last episode, the priest attacks Emma and, tries to tell her that obviously because Emma has done everything that Marine wanted her to do, that she's brought Marine to life now, and Marine has actually found a way to get inside of her. So, of course, she doesn't want to believe it, obviously, Emma, but then the priest says, tell me that you're not, sort of thing. Um, and Emma can't even hide the fact. She just says yes, like with Marine's voice, and then realizes that she's been completely taken over. So she actually ends up going to help Marine from her grave, and that and then Marine kind of like takes her on this long walk, and obviously like Marine is inside her head, right? So she's taking her on this walk, basically putting her in like a almost like a comatose like state, but she can control what Emma is doing, but also keeping Emma distracted inside of her own head, which was very. I mean, yeah, at this point, Marine is so powerful. She basically has control and can do whatever she wants to do, like, has free will over Emma at this point. Until, of course, Aurora shows up to the house and puts the little, what was it, like an amulet or something that they had found. And then it seems that Emma is able to kind of take control of herself just enough to uh, end up destroying Marine, right? Or at least she thinks. I guess we'll never really know, because the end of the show obviously just ends with Emma being pregnant, and there could have been a second season. Now I'm not really sure what direction the show would have taken, whether it would have shown like Emma giving birth to the demon baby or what, but I will say for this show, it was good. Like the storyline was good. It just kind of felt again like everything that was happening could have been avoided if they had just not gone towards it, or tried to mess with it even more once they were adults. If they had just left it alone, eventually Marine probably would have lost interest, because they weren't paying attention to her anymore. That's what she wanted. Like, she was craving the attention constantly, and they were giving it to her, so she was feeding off of that because she was able to control more of what was happening if they were giving her the attention she craved, right? And that's with anything. If you're if you're a believer of ghosts and the paranormal, like I am, then you shouldn't be messing with that stuff. Like, don't talk, don't talk to the spooky stuff would be, I guess, the lesson here. And they did, and they all pretty much paid the price for it, right? Which is unfortunate, because I think if they had just left everything well enough alone and not continued to dig deeper into it, you know, and they were warned throughout the show not to do this by people outside of the regular friend group, right? Like, nobody else wanted to mess with what they were messing with. So that should have been a sign right there, that obviously whatever they were dealing with was fairly powerful, right? And could, cause potential, like, life altering damage or even death. Like, it should have been a sign to stay away from it, when even the guy who owned the shop, filled with a bunch of random creepy stuff, didn't even want to have any part of the little ornament thing or the book. Like, he was adamant, like, get out of here. I don't want to be around that kind of thing, right? So that should have been a sign enough, I would think, to stay away from it. But they wanted to deal with it in their own way, and I don't think it went exactly as they planned. But and I can't believe Camille stayed around as long as she did. But I think if she hadn't have been put in the hospital, she definitely would have been gone a lot earlier. But yeah, but the special effects in the show were really good, and there were some jump scares, but again, I didn't feel like any of them were super cheesy. And the show definitely did not rely on that at all. It was definitely more of the psychological aspect, and I had at least one very strange dream watching the show. So I have to say, if you're if you're not really into like the psychological horror, or you think this would be a show that, like, if the psychological horror really messes with your head, I wouldn't say that this would be one to watch, because even I like this type of stuff, and it messed with my head a little bit too. Like, I had to take pauses after a couple episodes from time to time, because I was like, this is just a lot to take in. The psychological aspects of this were phenomenal, like, really, really great. So yeah. But anyway, I think I've kind of rambled on long enough, and yeah, I think I've said everything I can. Covered everything I can anyway. And yeah, 7 out of 10 for this show. If I didn't already say that, I believe I did, but I always like to say it at the end just in case. And I will see you guys in the next review. Bye-bye for now.